What's up, everybody? Going through a carb, so you can probably see that here. Going through a carb, so I thought I'd share some tips for when I'm going through a carb. Actually, not rebuilding it because I rebuilt this carb somewhat recently. Um, it might be like 5 years, but it ran forever good. I let old gas sit in it. I swapped it from one truck to another. The tank was bad, and so I ran a lot of old gas through it, and then I let it sit, which is a horrible idea to do. It collected all kinds of gum and all kinds of stuff. I've cleared most of it out, but as I was going through, I figured I'd just share some of the stuff you'd want to have prepared. Um, like you want good tools. Here's a pick. It's good to have. Brushes for cleaning stuff out. Uh, yeah, just various tools. You actually need a really good screwdriver. This actually turned out to be, cheapo screwdriver, adjustable one. Turned out to be really good for what I was doing. Um, Flashlight, you can see stuff. Um, let's see. Another thing you want to do is stay organized. I'm gonna hopefully move this back and forth really well, but if you can see that table, kind of have everything laid out. It was more blown apart before. A lot of it's back together now, but you can see how I'm like putting stuff where I could find where it goes again. Carburetors have a lot of little parts, so Edel rocks are really simple actually, but you'll have some stuff that comes apart and springs will go flying, and you want to keep that stuff straight so you aren't driving yourself crazy trying to figure out what's wrong with your car because you forgot to put something in there or just looking for them. So tools are important, staying organized. Adjustment. This is the main trick. I actually wrote my little notes up here, but the note that I wanted to share was so I took the adjustment screws out, and you can see the little spring there. These are the ones that go in front for your air mixture and fuel and air usually. What it's adjusting the ratio, and what I did here was a lot of people are worried about adjustment. If your adjustment's close, then you can kind of put it back to where it is and adjust from there. So what I do is I bottom all the way, I screw them all the way in, but I count how many turns it takes to screw them all the way in. So when I restart, you can see I know from bottom I can unspin this one 2 turns until I'm in this position again. And then the same thing with this one. This one was about 1 1/4 turns. So I screw it all the way in, and then I screw it out. And then, but to do this, you have to count the turns it takes to screw it in to start with. Otherwise, you're not going to know where you're at. So that's my first little trick that I do. Uh, let's see. The other really important thing that you want to do is, well, it's good to keep everything clean. It's a good way to know where you're at. Also, it just looks good when you're done. So like, see this little internal part. You can see that. And these are brass fittings. So what happens is you get a screwdriver in there that's not a great fit. It has too much play, and you break it because it's been sitting there forever and it's old. So what you want to do is, find something. Usually, you can get a good set of screwdrivers and make some. This one I like because it doesn't come out. It's thin. It's a cheapo one, but it worked well. The fit was pretty decent. Um, has some play, but sometimes you can get away with it. You'll kind of know right away. Uh, but how crazy some of your stuff is. But what you want to do is be really careful and hopefully get a good fit to start with. Sometimes you're stuck with what you got, but if you can get a good set of screwdrivers, and that's what you're looking for, so that there's not a bunch of play in there, because the more play, it's gonna break. Especially with the real old carburetors that you're working on. I've had that happen before, and it's horrible. So you don't want to have to drill out bits and replace them. Uh, Another part. Let's see. Well, I'll show you a couple of pieces that I cleaned. Here's one. You can see a little shine to that one versus this one. Real dirty still. It just looks good when you get them back in. Uh, Also, you don't want, it's a carburetor. You want to have no dirt anywhere near it. You don't want the least amount of junk in there, the less likely it is to give you any issues. So, uh, same thing with the screws. I went ahead and cleaned up a lot of the screws. You can see the difference there. Um, Same thing with these little arms. You know, they get pretty dirty in there. Um, what I was using was steel wool. I even actually use this on the inside to polish. The problem is that it flakes off and you get all these little pieces, and that's going to cause you problems. So you got to make sure you're blowing out. I use a blowgun and a compressor to clear everything out. So I'll use cleaning fluids and then I'll blow everything out. You want to constantly do that. You don't want to add stuff in there. It's going to give you an issue later. And then, it's kind of hard to do the adjustment with the float. Let me see. These floats have a specific adjustment. So you want to take a little measuring stick and see how far they're falling out. And the nice thing is a lot of the rebuild kits, if you end up rebuilding, they'll have a little diagram to show you your spec and then where you're sitting. For me, I just want to make sure that they're the same, which they are, about the same. So I've already adjusted these prior, so I know that they probably didn't both go out of adjustment exactly the same. So they're probably both in spec, hopefully. But I wasn't having that sort of fuel problem where they were like flooding out. So, yeah, I was clogged out with gunk, and I got most of that out, so it's looking good. So yeah, those are a couple of the tips. Keep it clean. I didn't. I'll show you what I got on the table left to do. Kind of just put the two ends together and all the little pieces, but there's a few things I want to still do to it. I did not start with pulling it out, but